Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back. It's Travis here with JT Wealth. Now in today's video, we are going to talk about the anonymous pseudonym Plan B and his Bitcoin price predictions and how he gets there. He's got two price predictions that I want to talk about specifically, and he gives timelines for when they're going to come to fruition. We've got one for the end of November, and that one is crazy. Also, we've got one by Christmas that is in the six figures. So I'm really excited about today's video. Let's get into it. Alright guys, thanks so much for checking out today's video. Hopefully you find it interesting and of value in some way. If you do, don't forget to smash the like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of my recent content. And like I said in the intro, we're going to talk about the anonymous pseudonym Plan B and his Bitcoin price predictions based on what he calls the stock-to-flow method. And we're going to talk about exactly what that is and showcase it here in the video. And I'm sure you've probably seen this symbol before. That is the Plan B symbol. Sometimes it's tucked under an anonymous hood or a person shape with a hood up, right? So if you're seeing that, that's the guy we're actually talking about, guy or girl, I suppose. There's a Twitter handle for it. He is all over the place. So we're going to talk specifically about Plan B. Now, this isn't just a one-off that I saw in a specific news article or one Reddit post. This is being covered by media everywhere. Here's a couple examples. Here's an article that came out the beginning of November from the NASDAQ website, okay? So this is fairly big coverage, and it says StocktoFlow targets $98,000 Bitcoin by the end of November, but will it actualize? Then you've got Bitcoin.com itself on their news channel saying Plan B's StocktoFlow Bitcoin price model predicts $100,000 by Christmas. StocktoFlow creator discusses his time model. Then on November 13th, AsiaMarkets.com puts out Bitcoin price to $135,000 within weeks, says this proven analyst. And of course, they're talking about Plan B. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Plan B and what this stock-to-flow ratio model actually does. Check this out. So Plan B's scarcity model predicts that Bitcoin will surpass 98,000 in November and the $130,000 mark by the end of the year. Now, the Bitcoin stock-to-flow model created by the pseudonym analyst Plan B analyzes the supply dynamics of Bitcoin and its scarcity enforced by the protocol's halving of miner rewards every 4 years and is predicting a monthly close of around $98,000 again for November. And according to Plan B, his model's predictions have actualized for the most part. The analyst shared that both August and September resonated closely with the actual monthly closing price of $47,000 and $43,000 respectively. Then in October, Plan B's stock-to-flow model predicted a monthly closing price of $63,000. The actual number did come in a bit short at $61,000, but with only a 3% rounding error, Plan B said that's close enough for me. Alright, and here you're getting your first view, in this video at least, of the Bitcoin stock-to-flow model with his worst case scenario for 2021. Now, he created this model in March of 2019 when the Bitcoin price had fallen below $4,000 after being at the high of only $2,000 in 2017. Now, at that point, many observers were predicting Bitcoin to plummet further to $1,000, but Plan B says his stock-to-flow model was telling him the only way was up. Now, he said, and I quote, "We have to go up from here, and we have to go up to the $1 trillion market cap," he told the Unchained podcast back in the day. And Bitcoin has in fact hit the $1 trillion market cap milestone February of this year. Now, what you're looking at is a tweet from Plan B in June of this year, and it says that Bitcoin is below 34,000. That was back when Elon Musk was talking about energy and China's mining crackdown, right? I'm sure you all remember that. And he says, there's also a more fundamental reason that we see weakness in June and possibly July. But his worst case scenario for 2021 was that August was 47,000, September was 43, October 63,000, November 98,000, and December $135,000 per Bitcoin. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's November 17th. We're more than halfway through the month. Bitcoin's nowhere near 90-something thousand dollars, but there's still 13 days left in the month. Is it possible for Bitcoin to jump up to 30,000 plus where it's at today? I don't know. But he has not been wrong for the last 4 months, barring a 3% error in one of the instances. Now, in an instance prior to that, he was wrong in the positive. So he was actually higher. His estimate was lower and Bitcoin was higher than his estimate. So we are definitely talking about somebody who has been incredibly effective at estimating the prices for Bitcoin. It is certainly possible something could happen in the short term to push Bitcoin up to these crazy levels. Now here what you're seeing is the Bitcoin stock to flow model in white compared to the time model in gray. And oftentimes these two are compared to each other. And always people say, hey, the time model is going to create a more expensive Bitcoin. And they're not wrong. Over time, Bitcoin will continue to advance in its price, barring some kind of crazy obscure situation. But comparatively, the stock to flow model seems to give a much more accurate depiction of the price target for Bitcoin at any specific time. As you can tell on the chart, you can see the white line has a lot more dots plotted directly over it than, say, the gray line, which is tracking a median or an average, sure, but it's not nearly as accurate as the stock to flow model. Now, what you're seeing here is the actual live stream of this stock to flow model pulled directly from his website. Now it is a couple hours old because I did screenshot this earlier in the day. Now I want to highlight this because if you notice something about the blue off to the right, that's the days until the next halving, meaning the darker the blue, the more recent it has been since a halving, right? So if you look at all of the end spots for all of the dark blue, what seems to happen next is a serious spike in the price of Bitcoin. And we have recently seen the 2020 halving ending close to that $10,000 mark, and then Bitcoin has started to escalate after that. It is certainly possible we will see a considerable spike yet to come with the Bitcoin price. You can really notice significant peaks in these charts back in the 2013, 2014, 2018 timelines, and we have yet to see a spike of considerable measure to match up with the previous historical spikes we've seen after halvings. So it's not unlikely and is certainly historically matched that we would see a spike even further than we have as of yet in the Bitcoin price. All that being said, even Plan B is a realist. He knows that what goes up must come down. So Plan B thinks that this bull run, like all of those before, will eventually end in a significant price crash of up to even 80%. And you can see that in the graph we were just looking at. Now he says, I seem to be one of the few who thinks we're in a normal cycle that will go down again after the all-time high. Everybody hopes for the super cycle or for the hyper Bitcoinization to start right now, and that we do not have a big crash after next all-time highs. But as much as I would hope that we don't see that crash, I think we will. And this is where it gets good. I think we'll be managed by greed right now and fear later on, and see another minus 80% after we top out at a couple of $100,000. So just so everybody is tracking and caught what I just said there, a couple $100,000. That is what he's referencing as the next high point or the next peak before we see that 80% potential plummet in the price of Bitcoin. So we're not even at 70,000 yet. We're not even at 65 holding as of yet, but he expects to break 100, possibly even higher before we see the next significant pullback. So that is a fantastically bullish outlook in the price of Bitcoin going forward. Now earlier I did mention that his previous predictions have come true. Some of them have been higher, some of them have been slightly lower. Here is a graph kind of showcasing exactly what I was talking about there. In August, he was 100% accurate. In September, he was more than 100% accurate. In October, he was 97% accurate. And here we sit in November above the 60% accuracy rating, but we've got time to go, guys. This is certainly a big push to go from 60,000 to over 90,000, but it's possible we could push up to 70, 80, even the $90,000 mark in the next 2-3 weeks and put him even closer to continuing his accuracy going forward. Now, unless Plan B has a crystal ball or his stock to flow method is just completely impossibly accurate, which nothing is that accurate, right? Then it is possible it's just not going to come to fruition. It's possible that these types of numbers aren't going to be reached for months to come. But that kind of bullish outlook is definitely something that could push a lot of investors into Bitcoin and as such kind of create its own self-fulfilling prophecy, pushing more and more people and more money into Bitcoin itself and increasing the price. But even with all of that, the retail investor by themselves is not going to push Bitcoin to levels like the 6 figures. That takes a lot of industry and hedge funds. Big money would need to be pushed into Bitcoin to actually reach those 6-figure digits. Seeing a Bitcoin ETF, an actual firm, proper Bitcoin ETF, not a futures ETF, would certainly have had that effect. We're not there yet. So it's hard to determine whether or not there needs to be some sort of catalyst above and beyond the actual stock to flow model, knowing how much Bitcoin is being created every year versus how much open Bitcoin is on the market, right? So there could be other things we need to be taking into consideration before accepting these massively bullish predictions for Bitcoin as gospel. So as always, guys, just remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin. I own Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, but I'm not telling you guys to do that. Always do your own due diligence before spending any of your own hard-earned money, and never listen to people on YouTube as far as making investments goes. But hopefully you found something of value in today's video. If you did, remember, smash that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bottoms up.